It's pretty cool. Wait, man, you got a lot going on. I'm looking forward to getting into it. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. So before we get into your work and your mission and kind of how you evolved to this point, I want to know, 4 years ago, we were trying to figure out how we were going to get out of this pandemic and how it was going to affect us long term. How did you ultimately get through that time period, and how did it change the way that you do things now?
Oh my gosh. I've been asked a lot of questions on a podcast. I've never been asked that one. I mean, I think I was just like everybody else, just trying to get through it the best that I can back then. But the reality is that so many things since that period have been accelerated on Zoom. And we really started this company. I mean, the company was started effectively in 2018, but that really accelerated a lot of things on Zoom. And I think it allowed more people to get comfortable with things that you can do on Zoom. And so my entire company is based on Zoom now.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do exactly on a daily basis now in 2024. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of the curious kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you
Hmm.
answer them?
Help business owners grow themselves so they can grow their companies.
What did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
Oh, I wanted to be an NBA basketball player.
So what was your team? Who was your guy?
Well, of course, I'm an Auburn guy, as you can tell, happened by the shirt I'm wearing. But I was a Michael Jordan guy. I was Chicago Bulls.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's just it's weird to think about this debate between LeBron and him. And I don't want to be biased because that's my generation with Michael.
Yeah.
But there was something about him that was artistry. There was something that was more than just a good player out there all the time.
Yeah, this happens a lot. I'm a golfer. This happens a lot with Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus as well, and I think it's great for discussion and debate. I'm actually a Lakers fan. I'm a huge
Okay.
Lakers fan, so I'm a big Kobe guy, and I like LeBron too. I really do. I like LeBron, and I think what he's been able to do longevity wise is incredible. And what he's doing right now at 40 years old is unbelievable.
And I think he's a good dude. I think there's a level of him as a family guy, philanthropically speaking. I think there's a lot of things that he does that genuinely has a really good mission and heart behind it.
I agree. I mean, I've got some of my friends that, they don't like LeBron. And I think to myself, look, what has the guy done? I mean, he is a family guy. He didn't grow up with a dad. What he's been able to do his entire career, he's stayed out of trouble.
Yep.
And he's done a tremendous amount of good works. And to me, like sure, some of the stuff I don't agree with. Maybe I'm not a big politics guy at all, but yeah, sure, some of the stuff maybe I don't. But overall, man, he has absolutely lived up to the expectations placed on him, and he had the highest of expectations. That is incredible to think about. I mean, Jordan did not have those expectations. He didn't have those expectations at all
Yeah.
coming in. LeBron did, and LeBron has exceeded all of those expectations pretty incredibly.
For sure. So let's get to the heart and soul of your expertise in business and helping people get to a better place. Take me back to where you were born and raised, and what were the seeds that were planted into you that gave you this business acumen, this drive that you have today?
Oh, 100%. It was my dad. It was absolutely my dad. That is a huge part of my story. My dad's a farmer. And so a lot of things are caught, not taught. Hard work is something I literally watched with my dad. 100% is I saw what it actually took for him to be able to. I mean, they were farming. They probably farm about 4,000 acres now, but at one time they were 8 to 10,000 acres that they were farming. And so, you just do whatever you have to do to get the crops in the ground and and get the harvest out in the fall. And so, my dad missed a lot of my games. He sure as heck was not my coach when I was growing up in basketball and baseball, golf, etc. But he busted his tail. And still to this day, at 70 years old, he runs circles around most people in terms of their hard work. I wish my dad would listen to me a few times around some stuff, but that's he won't ever still won't do that. But he absolutely bust his tail. And I'm so grateful for that lesson. That's exactly what I took into entrepreneurship. And it's exactly the thing that I needed to be able to hear. But at some point, that needed to change. At some point, that gets you to a certain place. And then I needed to be able to make a change. And it actually took a health scare for me to kind of wake up and start to make some changes.
What was that health scare? When did it happen? What happened?
2015, June 2015, I was in Disney with my family. I took a picture. I had two computer screens up, and I was just running a weekly team meeting. And the caption says, "Better never stops, even on vacation." That's how, like, literally, like, just delusional I really was around what work was. That I felt like I needed to be running a team meeting from the lobby at the Disney Yacht Club. A month later, I was going to work out and I started feeling like sharp pains in my chest. I thought I was having some sort of heart issues. Went saw my physician that morning. He puts me on the EKG machine, sees some stuff. And he's like, "Man, Bradley, we need to get you in to see a cardiologist." Well, now I'm in a full blown panic. See the cardiologist the next day, stress test, and he says, "Look, everything is fine with your heart, but I don't know what you've got going on in your life at 34 years old, but you might want to change it." And and so I didn't really know what the change was. In the end, I was panic attacks. It wasn't heart issues. It was just panic attacks. It was working around the clock and doing what I thought I needed to do, provide for the family. But I didn't really know what the change needed to be. And fortunately, I made my way to Toronto and had a chance to encounter with an entrepreneur, and that's when really things started to change a couple months later.
So talk to me a little bit about who a hero has been for you. Who's been an inspiration that's consistently pushed you and helped you get to where you're at today?
I think my kids are in fourth grade and eighth grade, and I look at their teachers. I was working with my daughter last night, who's in fourth grade, on some math, and I was as she was doing it, I was thinking back a couple years ago, and that the teacher that she had in second grade, she would never look at that teacher now and say, "Why didn't you teach me these things?" Right? It's like, no, the second grade teacher taught her what it is that she needed to know. So what's the analogy there? The reality is that along the way, the mentors that I've learned from were exactly the people I needed to learn at that stage. And so who are the people I'm learning from now? Daniel Priestley, Mike Reed are my coaches. Dan Martell is one of my coaches. Those are people that are doing what it is that I wanted to do. Well, when the first time you get to a business to $1 million, somebody that has gotten a business to $1 million, you think, "Oh my gosh, like how in the world have you done that?" And so then you just continue to have these mentors along the way at different stages. And so the answer to your question is, it's been a bunch.
Yeah.
It's been a bunch. There's not been like one that I can point to and say it's this one person. It was certain people at different stages of my career.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating or inspirational, who would that be? Who would you love to spend some time with?
Tony Robbins, Winston Churchill, um, and I would probably say, from a business standpoint, um, in addition to that, I would probably say Steve Jobs if I could. No.
So you just mentioned a lot of people that have a lot going on, very highly driven. You obviously are. What is that every day that gets you up, that makes you accomplish what you've done with your life, and also to evolve as a human being on your personal side? What is that collective gas in your tank?
You know what? One other person I'd add to that is Keith Cunningham. I would add
Okay.
Keith Cunningham to that. In fact, I'd probably want to meet and spend time with Keith Cunningham even before Steve Jobs, as a matter of
Okay.
fact.
Cool.
Well, to answer your question, is a quote I actually got from Keith. And so I have adopted it and I've thought that is absolutely paramount to me. So I want to give him full credit for this. But he said, "I want to one day meet the man I could have become and know that I am him." That's it. That's it.
That's
I think
wonderful.
entrepreneurship and business is so challenging. I had a sports background. Sports is still a big part of my life and our family's life. And Now, I don't think that there's a direct tie to business and sports, but there are a lot of lessons and principles that are learned within both of those. And I will tell you that business and entrepreneurship, it requires such a diverse skill set to be successful. It's why 96% of businesses never see their 10th birthday. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. It challenges me in every way. Just this morning, I was getting some messages that I could sense myself of a lot. I was like, yep, this is why this is hard. This is why this is hard right now, because like there was some tension in some messages within somebody with somebody on the team. And I was just like, yep, this is where you have to practice resiliency and patience, right? And emotional intelligence right now, because how I really want to respond to this message versus what's the right way to respond to this message. 10 years ago, Bradley would have just popped off, and said something that could have been detrimental. And so it's like, all right, I'm going to have to be patient with this. And I think that's just examples of the inward dialogue that we're having as entrepreneurs on a day-to-day basis is so incredibly critical. But I think business and entrepreneurship challenges me more than anything else, because the reality is I almost left business through that health scare. I almost back into the corporate world. I could have went and got a couple $100,000 base salary, 401k benefits, the whole 9 yards, and just had the easy road, and then got into a place of, you build up some money and retire, and that was it. I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. I'd rather take the road less traveled.
So talk to me a little bit about a business model out there that you admire. Business is a lot like sports and the way, especially in this country, kind of the rise to prominence and taking over the market. Is there a business model, a business out there that you absolutely admire from top to bottom?
No, I really love, I would say that there's not necessarily a business model, but a couple of my mentors, like Daniel, Keith, Cunningham himself, even though I don't really know Keith, but Daniel and Mike, who are my business coaches, what they've been able to do across their portfolio of companies is really, I would actually maybe say Alex and Layla Hormozy, what they're doing with their portfolio, their family holding company is really, aspirational to me. And here's why. Like right now, I've got a $10 million holding company portfolio of companies, and I'm trying to build that to 30 million by 2030. Well, looking at people who have a portfolio of companies and have been able to grow all of those successfully, that to me is indicative of their ability to build people, okay, and really allocate their time successfully. When I look at like my calendar even today and compare it to someone like Daniel and Mike and other people that are steps ahead of me, I think to myself, yeah, see, they're doing things a lot differently. It's what they get with their time, not how much time they're spending. They're having 15-minute meetings. I'm having hour-long meetings. And I don't know how to have a really good 15-minute meeting. So those are things that to me is really impressive, is when someone has a holding company, or sometimes referred to as a portfolio, and they've been able to successfully grow those businesses bootstrapped. They're profitable and growing, and they have their role in the organizations. They've developed people, they've hired the right people in the right spots. To me, I love that model because it's representative of everything that we share with our business owners, which is to build an operating system, or design and then build an operating system so the business isn't dependent upon you.
So what's been one of your favorite success stories that you were involved with coaching and helping get to a better place? Is there one that stands out?
Yeah, there's one. I'll share with you the revenue numbers, but I don't want to just talk about revenue numbers in this case, but it is an easy one. They were doing $400,000 in 2019. They just crossed over $3 million a couple of years ago, and they founder has got a couple other businesses, and that business is growing and has around about 30% profit margins, and they're looking to exit that business. But that started first with that founder being, they were the product, okay? They were the artist, they were the one that designed it, And over the last several years, being able to hire, a team, having 15, 16 people that work for them, have really solid customers. It's been really a joy to see how they've grown that company revenue wise, how they've been able to remain profitable along the way, how they've built a team, and how that owner, he and his wife, work less in that business than they ever have. It's a really cool example of kind of what we share with people to be able to do what's possible. And I'll share with you another one. I have three business that is in the behavioral therapy space, and three female founders. Their very first year we were working together, 2018 or 19, I can't remember exactly. Their first year they did 90,000 top line revenue, and they're running at about $120,000 a month now. And they were really good at what they did in the business, but they did not know, nobody had ever taught them business skills. And so to see their transformation that they've been able to make, and the impact that they've been able to have on so many families' lives for what it is that they do, because they've really been able to scale that business, is truly a testament to the work that they've been able to do.
So, of all of these things that you've accomplished and evolved into in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think I'm the proudest of first and foremost. I think all the business success comes down to something I've heard Tony Robbins say, is that work harder on yourself than anything else. And so I can say that, years ago, I was very much, my identity was in my performance. So if we did well, Joe, I thought well of myself. And now I am proud of the person that I've been able to become and the person that I am becoming. And then all of the other success is really downhill from that. That's it. I think I'm a better father today than I was. I think I'm a better leader than I was. I think I'm a better business owner than I used to be. I think I'm an overall better person than I was years ago. That doesn't mean I'm perfect by no stretch of the imagination at all, and I don't want to share, you know, put off that vibe. But I think that I've worked really hard on the person that I really wanted to become, and that has led to the success in the businesses.
So, did that health scare, was that a big catalyst for you to kind of round a corner and get to this place that you've always wanted to be at?
That one was, yes, it was, but that was the wake up call initially of like, okay, I can't keep doing it this way. But it really then did not give me the answer of what do you do? What do you do? Okay. It only said the path that you're on is not sustainable. You can't continue down this path anymore. You know the scene in Top Gun Maverick at the very beginning where Tom Cruise is pushing on the throttle of that new age plane and then the plane blows up.
Yeah.
Okay. That was kind of me. Is that I'm at Mach 10. You know what? A little bit more, Joe. A little bit more. Push it. I think I can get a little bit more. That was me, and blew up. And so, but then it still leads you down to, well, then what do you do? What do you do differently? Okay, that's fine. That path doesn't work, but you got to change. And that answer was not immediately, it'd probably add for a better story if I said, like, oh, I woke up the next day and I had this epiphany and I just knew exactly what to do. Like, it did not happen. I just was like, okay, something's got to change. Something has to change here in my life. I don't know what that thing needs to be to change. And so I'm going to go about trying to figure that out. And I just so happened to meet a guy who was in Toronto, and I wish I knew his name, but he was a financial advisor. I think I had it in my head he was probably doing $500,000 to $750,000 in top line revenue in his business, roughly. Okay, and he said, "Yep. Well, last year we did 40 million top line. I made 5 million personally." And so here's what 400 million and 50 million would look like. We were doing the 10x is easier than 2x exercise. And I was like, wait, what? How much did you make? What? Are you kidding me? And and then he said, look, man, it's just systems and processes. And I said something smart back to him of like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. Everybody says that crap, and not a doggone person shares with me what that actually looks like. Everybody talks about it. Nobody ever shares what it is. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz. Like
Yep.
nobody's just willing to share like what that means. And we just stay theoretical of like systems and processes. But I'm not going to show you mine. He said, "Well, look, I'll show you at lunch." And he did. And he did. And that is whenever I was like, oh, okay. That's actually what it takes. It's this moment. I played golf in college, and one of the guys I played with, um, he was a two-time Walker Cup captain player. I played at UNA for a couple of years, and this guy, Lee Williams, people can look him up. He played on tour for a period of time. He was a two-time Walker Cup player. I saw him practice. I saw him prepare, and he prepared and practiced at a level that was beyond anything anybody else was doing. And it was like, oh, that's why he's the best on the team. That's why he's a two-time Walker Cup player. See, we're at a fraternity party on a Saturday night. He's at the gym. Okay. He got to work in Sunday morning, goes to church. He's back out on the range Sunday afternoon. I'm sleeping in watching NFL. That's why he's the best.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that moment in Toronto, it was like the bar was forever raised, Joe. It was like, oh, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
That's how he built a $40 million company. I'll never forget the guy was sitting in there and he had his hat backwards. He had a backpack. He was so like laissez faire about it. And when he said that, I was like, wait, you did $40 million in top line revenue? You made 5 million personally? What? How? And so when he shared that with me, it was just an instantaneous moment that from that point forward, everything really began to change. And I was like, okay, enough of this. I'm actually going to finally, for the first time, start to write down what the heck it is we do. And he
Yeah.
said one other thing that really stood out. He said, Bradley, I got my business out of my head. I got my business out of my head. I thought, okay, all right, I got to start doing the same.
Wow. So everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone around you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, well, I think that my perception is that I am the architect of the business and that my job is to get out the message that impacted me. What did I do? What grew the business? Let me go and get that message out there. Let me go and evangelize the message of becoming the architect of your business. My job, there's like, I have these lights obviously up here, and my job is to not be in the spotlight, but my job is to be the spotlight. Okay. I think of myself as like the light torch on your iPhone. My job is to be that for other people and to say, not look at me, but look at this. And so I only share my stories only because people have shared, you know what, my story is different than yours, but the principle's the same. The
Yeah.
lessons are the same. I heard that too. You're right. They start to see themselves in my story. That's the only thing that matters. Because at the end of the day, nobody listening to this cares about my story. But what they may see and sense is in themselves in my own story.
Yeah.
While the details are a little bit different, they can say, you know what? I felt that way too. I was burnt out. I mean, the number of entrepreneurs have shared with me, yes, I dealt with panic attacks as well, is like, wow, I did not realize how profound that was. Okay. That's out there because business owners and entrepreneurs are busting their tails. It's not a lack of effort. It's never a lack of effort with an entrepreneur or business owner, ever,
Yeah.
ever. It just simply, in fact, I literally sent this morning to a business owner. I said, it really is. I don't think business is not easy, but it can be. It can be straightforward. If you are working hard enough and the business is not growing, you are not working on the right things. And so identifying what the thing, and that's the thing that I was doing is that I was Tom Cruise in the business. Throttle was down. It cannot go any further, Joe. Like it is all the way down. Okay. That does not work. Now, what are you going to do? The business had plateaued. The business had grew, taken off. Now the business is stalled. So what did I do? I worked harder. Now that throttle's on the ground. Now what are you going to do? Now what are you going to do? And so to me, I had to switch from being the rainmaker. I had to become the architect of my business. What does that look like? I had to design things, then I had to go about building it, and that got it outside of me. I had to learn how to actually create systems and processes. I didn't know how to do it. I looked at a blank Word document. I don't know where to start. Okay. You start to learn. This is by actually doing the thing.
So if you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one NBA game, where are you going?
I would probably go back and see one of the I can't remember one of the games, but I'd probably go back and watch one of the Bulls Knicks games in the Garden. That's probably what I would go back and see. One
Yeah,
of the classic Knicks Bulls games. That's probably what I would say. I can't come up with the year, the season,
yeah.
the game, but I would go back and see one of those for sure.
Beautiful. That's great. Hey, man, if anyone wants to reach out, they want to learn more about what you're doing, get involved, your podcast, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yeah, thanks for that. BlueprintOS.com/assets. They can go and get access to our Rainmaker Architect starter kit on there. And then they can also, I do some web classes every week. And then we also have some spotlight events that they can register for. So BlueprintOS.com/assets.
Beautiful. Bradley, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. I love your
Thanks
story, man.
thanks so much. Appreciate the quality of questions too.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Best of luck with it.